Hello and welcome to N-Gage on a Shelf. Well, it was going to be on a shelf, but it kind of like grew a bit. This is actually my fourth attempt at making a layout. My name's Simon. I have another channel where I play golf, and I thought, why don't you start a channel about your N-Gage layout? So the first two loops are done. I've just been wiring up all the droppers and ran out of wire. So there's a couple of droppers which aren't connected to the main wiring loom yet. The basics of the canal that I'm putting in are done, and I'm starting to lay track on the end-to-end or branch line, whatever you want to call it. Now, my first attempt was in my garage at a previous house. And I got as far as building the table, and then we needed to move. We needed somewhere bigger because we were having kids, so the table was taken down. Second attempt was up here in the attic. I got the table built, I got the contours done, I got the track laid, I'd even got some green scatter on it. It was starting to look good. And then my father died. So then I was looking after my mother and the house and the very, very large garden. Years passed, I never went up there, except to get the Christmas decorations down or the occasional suitcase for a holiday. And then, of course, inevitably your mother dies too. Then you've got a year sorting out all the financials and the house and that sort of thing. And I eventually got back up there about 11 or 12 years after I started. Track was dead, nothing would run on it. It was absolutely filthy. I couldn't see how I could recover it. And eventually I took it all down. Trouble is that you lose everything. N-Gage track is particularly brittle. It is not as strong as the larger gauges, so once it's pinned down, glued down and covered in ballast, you can't really get it up without destroying it. So that was a total loss. Although I do have a table in the attic now that I put things on, junk mostly. I then did N-Gage on a shelf. I went into my office, I'm a home worker, and I put in a 1 foot wide shelf. And it basically went out, did a 360 and came back. And I got most of that done. Alas, it didn't work. And the reason why it didn't work, I will tell you in a later video when I get to that stage on this layout. Now this is U-shaped, as you can see, and there's a 180 degree bend left and right here. So it's quite busy. You know, if you have the traditional square with a hole in the middle, then you're just going round the outside. So it's not quite as busy and you can do more things with it. So for instance here on this side, underneath this upper station, I wanted a fiddle yard. Well, the fiddle yard was just going to fill up across the board. And so I kind of abandoned that, because I didn't want to have my entire board taken up with a fiddle yard. See, if you've got a square, you can dedicate one side to a fiddle yard. In fact, you can put it on two levels. So the fiddle yard is underneath and the main line goes over the top. And then you have ramps down into the fiddle yard. It's much easier on a square than it is on what is essentially an end-to-end. So the next program of works is I need to test this track, which I'm going to do at the end of this video. Then after that I've got to finish the branch line or the end-to-end and wire that up and test that. And the next thing I need to do is to run in all my locomotives. So that's half an hour at half speed forwards, half an hour at half speed backwards, and then inspect them and top up any lube as required. Then we're getting on to scenery, and this chat's gone on long enough, so we'll talk about scenery in a later one. Let's turn the power on, shall we?